In the ocean, silence is almost impossible. Waves crash. Currents shift. Creatures call out across impossible distances. And beneath it all, a sound so deep, so powerful, it can travel across entire oceans. The voice of a giant. The voice of the blue whale. The largest animal to have ever lived on Earth, doesn't just move through the ocean. It speaks through it. Low-frequency pulses. Deep, haunting calls. So powerful, they can travel over 1,000 kilometers. Imagine shouting, and being heard across an entire country. That's what a blue whale can do. But here's the mystery. There is one moment, one place, where even this giant goes silent. Not because it wants to, but because the ocean forces it to. And to understand why, we need to go deeper. Much deeper. The blue whale is not just big. It's extreme. Over 30 meters long. Weighing as much as 30 elephants combined. Even its heart is the size of a small car. But what truly defines the blue whale is its voice. Unlike most animals, blue whales don't rely on sight. The ocean is too vast. Too dark. Too empty. Instead, they use sound. Low-frequency calls, below what humans can hear. These sounds travel through water like ripples through glass. Effortless. Endless. In fact, sound travels nearly 5 times faster in water than in air. And low-frequency sound? It travels even farther. This turns the ocean into something extraordinary. A communication network. An invisible web, connecting whales across entire basins. But this is where things get strange. Because despite this incredible advantage, there are moments when this network collapses. Completely. To understand why this happens, we need to understand how sound behaves underwater. Sound in the ocean doesn't just move randomly. It follows rules. Very precise rules. As sound travels downward, it bends. As it travels upward, it bends again. This bending creates something scientists call the SOFAR channel. Think of it like a natural underwater highway for sound. A layer of water, where sound gets trapped and guided across vast distances. Almost like a fiber optic cable, but made of pressure and temperature. Inside this channel, sound can travel farther than anywhere else in the ocean. This is where blue whales thrive. Their calls enter this layer and spread across thousands of kilometers. Effortlessly. But there's a catch. Because outside this channel, sound begins to die. Fast. Now imagine this. You're in a massive cathedral. Your voice echoes endlessly. But the moment you step outside, your voice disappears into the wind. That's exactly what happens to a blue whale when it leaves this acoustic highway. And sometimes, it has no choice. Blue whales don't stay in one place. They migrate. Thousands of kilometers every year. From cold feeding grounds to warmer breeding waters. And during this journey, they pass through regions where the ocean behaves very differently. Regions where temperature shifts violently. Where pressure layers distort. Where currents twist the structure of sound itself. And suddenly, the ocean stops carrying their voice. But that's not even the weirdest part. Because sometimes, it's not the ocean that silences them. It's what's happening inside it. There are parts of the ocean where sound becomes chaotic. Where multiple layers of water collide. Warm water sits on top of cold water. Salty water mixes with fresh. And these differences matter. Because sound travels differently through each layer. Some layers speed it up. Others slow it down. And when these layers stack together, sound starts to scatter. Reflect. Bend in unpredictable directions. It's like trying to shine a flashlight through cracked glass. The beam doesn't go straight anymore. It fractures. This creates what scientists call acoustic shadow zones. Regions where sound simply doesn't reach. Not because it's weak, but because it's being bent away. Redirected. Lost. And when a blue whale enters one of these zones, its voice doesn't disappear. It just never arrives. Imagine speaking, and no one can hear you. Not because they're far away, but because your voice is being twisted before it reaches them. That's what a shadow zone does. And for an animal that relies entirely on sound, this is more than an inconvenience. It's isolation. But the ocean isn't done yet. Because there's another force at play. One that's even more unpredictable. And far more dangerous. Storms. On the surface, storms look chaotic. Waves crashing. Wind screaming. But beneath the surface, something even more intense is happening. Sound explodes. Rain hitting the ocean creates millions of tiny impacts. Each drop, a miniature explosion. Multiply that by billions. And suddenly, the ocean becomes deafening. Then come the waves. Breaking. Colliding. Generating constant low-frequency noise. The same frequency blue whales use to communicate. And then there's thunder. Underwater, thunder doesn't just crack. It booms. Deep. Resonant. Spreading through the water like a shockwave. Together, these sounds create a wall of noise. A natural interference. This is where things get terrifying. Because even the loudest animal on Earth can be drowned out. Imagine trying to whisper in the middle of a rock concert. That's what a blue whale experiences during intense storms. Its calls are still there. Still powerful. But buried. Masked. Overwhelmed by noise. Scientists call this acoustic masking. And it's one of the only times the ocean itself silences the blue whale. But the real reason is far more surprising. Because silence isn't always forced. Sometimes the whale chooses it. Blue whales are not constantly calling. They are selective. Strategic. Their calls are energy-intensive. Producing these deep sounds requires massive amounts of effort. And in certain environments, calling becomes useless. Or even dangerous. Think about it. If your voice can't travel, why waste the energy? If predators, or competitors, might hear you instead, why risk it? So in these moments, the whale does something unexpected. It stops. Completely. And that's when the ocean becomes truly silent. Not because sound is gone, but because the giant has chosen not to speak. But there's one more layer to this mystery. One final piece that changes everything. Because sometimes, the silence isn't natural at all. And what's causing it is far more unsettling than storms. Or shifting water layers. The ocean has always been loud. But not like this. Not constant. Not mechanical. Not artificial. In the last century, something changed. Ships. Thousands of them. Crossing every ocean. Every day. Cargo vessels. Oil tankers. Military fleets. Each one, producing a deep, continuous rumble. Low-frequency noise. The exact same frequency blue whales use to communicate. But this is where things get disturbing. Because unlike storms, this noise never stops. Imagine living your entire life inside a room filled with the sound of engines. Day and night. No silence. No pause. No escape. That's what the modern ocean has become. This constant noise builds into something scientists call ambient noise pollution. A background hum that fills entire ocean basins. And for blue whales, it's like trying to speak through a wall that never goes away. Their calls still happen. Deep. Powerful. Ancient. But they don't travel as far anymore. What once reached across 1,000 kilometers now struggles to cross even a fraction of that distance. But that's not even the worst part. Because the whales are adapting. And not in a good way. To compensate. They call louder. Longer. More frequently. It's the same instinct humans have, when someone can't hear us. We raise our voice. We repeat ourselves. We try harder. But for a blue whale, that effort comes at a cost. Energy. Massive amounts of it. And energy in the ocean is survival. Every calorie matters. Every movement counts. So now, these giants are forced into a brutal trade-off. Speak and burn energy. Or stay silent and risk losing contact with others. And this is where things get strange. Because communication isn't just about talking. It's about finding. Blue whales live in a vast, open ocean. They don't form tight groups. They don't swim in schools. They are alone. Most of the time. So how do they find each other? Across thousands of kilometers? In an environment with no landmarks? No visible paths? They use sound. Their calls are not random. They carry information. Location. Identity. Possibly even reproductive signals. Like a beacon, echoing through darkness. But when that beacon gets lost, everything changes. Imagine trying to find someone in a city. But every street is filled with fog. Every voice is muffled. Every signal is distorted. You don't just get lost. You stop finding others entirely. That's what noise pollution does. It doesn't just make things louder. It breaks connections. And when blue whales can't find each other, it affects something far bigger than communication. It affects reproduction. Fewer encounters. Fewer mating opportunities. Fewer calves. And for a species that already exists in small numbers, that's a serious problem. But the implications go even deeper. Because blue whales are not just individuals. They are part of a system. A massive, ancient system. These whales feed on tiny creatures called krill. Billions of them. In a single day, one whale can consume up to 4 tons. That's like eating the weight of a truck every 24 hours. And when they dive, feed, and move, they do something extraordinary. They recycle nutrients. Through their waste, they release iron and nitrogen back into the water. These nutrients feed phytoplankton. Microscopic plants. Invisible to the eye. But responsible for something incredible. They produce oxygen. A lot of it. Some estimates suggest phytoplankton generate over half of the oxygen we breathe. So when whales feed, they're not just surviving. They're supporting entire ecosystems. Even the air above the ocean. This creates something scientists call the whale pump. A cycle where whales bring nutrients from deep waters back to the surface, fueling life. But here's the connection. If whales struggle to communicate, they struggle to find each other. If they struggle to find each other, their population declines. And if their population declines, this entire system weakens. So the silence of a blue whale is not just about sound. It's about balance. But the ocean still has one more secret. One final twist. Because sometimes, silence reveals something else. Something we didn't expect. In rare moments. Far from shipping lanes. Far from storms. Far from chaotic water layers. Scientists have recorded something extraordinary. True quiet. A level of silence so deep, it almost feels unnatural. In these moments, the ocean becomes a perfect medium again. No interference. No distortion. No masking. And when a blue whale calls, the sound travels farther than ever. Clear. Undisturbed. Like a signal from another world. But here's the unsettling part. These moments are becoming rare. More ships. More noise. More